It's twofold. You wanted to give, with the expansion of the league, we knew the RPI was going to go up on the league even higher than what it had been. And, you think about it. We're right now looking at potentially 13 teams getting into the tournament, just on projections, right? Under the old format, you only took 12 teams. So one of the reasons we went to it is we thought it'd be really tough to get that 13th team in if they didn't even make their conference tournament. Mm-hmm. So, and then you look at it, burning pitching, everything else just we felt was also given, some other teams and regionals maybe an advantage on this more than what should be.
Where's the motivation for teams like yourself who know you're going to be playing and most likely hosting regionals?
A lot of motivation. We've got to go play good. I want to get all of our arms. I've said it for years. In a perfect scenario, you play 2 or 3 games in Hoover and you come home, right? Don't get me wrong. You're trying to win and you want to win the tournament. But to your point, as the question you asked earlier about being there long and burning through pitching, it's like, okay, in 2 or maybe even 3 games, you get all your arms in, you get all your starters a little work. Mm-hmm. Your position players aren't on your feet too long, and then you come home and you feel like, okay, yeah, we don't need to see any live pitching. We've seen enough of it. But no, we've got a lot of motivation. I think this is, a team that, from a pitching standpoint, we've got a lot of options. So I don't worry about burning through our positions the longer we're there, if we're fortunate enough to keep winning. But I actually feel, you worry more about your position players at that point.
And I know, you're not going to see any of your frontline starters till maybe on days they were supposed to pitch. So what does that do as far as who you got available now for these, one game usually two before that?
We'll bullpen almost every day. Even my starters, if we're fortunate enough to keep winning and keep playing, you're not going to see those guys go more than 3 or 4 innings. We'll treat this week like a deload, which is what we would have done if we were at home. And so we'll deload them, meaning they're not going to go more than 60, 70 pitches at the most. Meaning Curley and Finley. Mm-hmm. And so with that in mind, you're already ready to bullpen. And I just think, I've said for a lot this year, one of the strengths of this team is the depth of number of pitchers that we can roll out there. And if they're hot, they're gonna keep you in a ball game.
Have you decided on tomorrow yet?
Okay. Not yet. I need to see who wins.
Yeah. I got you on that.
As far as seeding, I don't know if you can help or hurt, but what do you want to fine tune while you're in Hoover and over this next week?
Biggest thing, if I'm going to be greedy and be truthful, we need to get Zabo at bats. I want him to see at bats. I want our pitchers to face some hitters. There's still nothing that you can do in a bullpen that simulates a real game. And so just keeping some of those guys fresh. I really like where JT Quinn and Zach Harris, Nate Taylor, some of those bullpen arms have been. It's good to try to get them back out there and get them one more inning of work. Or a couple, in JT's case, and have them fresh and ready to go for when, next Friday hits.
And what's the plan for Robbie Burnett this week?
Still be game to game.
Okay, cool.
As you're lining up, you're pitching for the regional. Who's available Wednesday? Obviously matchup might be who you go with, but are there certain pitcher? Are you looking at 3 or 4?
Yeah. No, Curley's not going to throw Wednesday, or Finley's not going to throw Wednesday. Everybody else is available.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how do you, talk to your team about this opportunity? Obviously, it is a tournament. You want to win it, but do you give them the same type of message that you would give them for the actual NCAA tournament? Obviously, it's a little bit different stakes, and in the perfect world, you said just play 2-3 games, come home. So how do you kind of, speak to the team about what the real
just
goal is?
Keep respecting the game, and you're trying to win. You never go out and don't try to win. We're going out to win. It's just, you also have to look at, there is a very strong track record of teams that have won this tournament, coming back and not doing very well in their regional. And part of the reason is you're on your feet. It's, yes, your pitching does take a little bit of a hit, but really at the end of the day, it's your position players. They've been on their feet so long. And where, getting back and giving them a day off, or maybe even 2 in some cases. I go back to 2018. I was at another university. We lost in the national title game. We played 3 games in Hoover, came home, and give the guys 2 days off. It's probably the best thing that ever happened. And They got back under there, bodies were bouncing around. And then, we went into regionals, won that, then super, and then obviously went to Omaha and made it to the finals. So, you want, like, we got guys who still need to get better. Ryan Black's finally all the way healthy. Him getting a ton of at-bats is big. Zabo getting back in there and getting a ton of at-bats. Figuring out how to get Robbie at-bats and not put him in a position to where he might, further his hamstring in the wrong direction, I guess is what I would say. There's plenty of things we got to do to get there, and if we're there the whole week, good for us. I'll be fine with it.
Did you guys put Zabo at 8, kind of easing him back in the situation, or will he be this week?
Yeah, I haven't looked at this week. Yeah, you put him back in there. When a guy's coming off and he's a little unsure of how his body's going to react, and you are too, throwing a guy and thrusting him into the 4-hole or the 3-hole in a game we want to win. Yeah. Obviously, that's a lot of pressure for a guy. He's down there at the bottom. It's like, okay, I don't quite have as much pressure on me. I just need to go up there and get my bat. I get a swing off. And so we did it. And obviously, we all know he started out the year in the 8-hole and went off, and we kind of kept him there. So it was like getting back into a comfortable spot.
How about going from a park like Georgia to a park like the Hoover Met, bigger park? Georgia hit last 4 or 5 years, had a lot of trouble scoring runs there. Kind of what changes? What has changed in the past?
Big ballpark, but you look at our schedule this year. We went to UNC Wilmington. That ballpark played massive. We won 3 games there. We went over obviously to Truist. That's a big league ballpark.
Sure.
We won there. So we feel like we've played in some big ballparks, and we know how to do some things in that now. I think, for us, we're not going to change anything on our approach. We're just
that's what I was wondering, because that doesn't mentally kind of make you say, man, that's, going to be harder, for example, harder to hit home runs here than this, so you maybe change the way you're approaching it batter.
No, we'll stick with what
Yeah.
Award season time here. Who said about Slate this year?
About Slate?
Yeah.
Man, that guy, we would be here for quite a while. Slate, just what he's brought to our team from a maturity standpoint, a guy who's now been in this league 4 years, just the leadership. You look at a lot of our big wins and, against really good teams and good pitchers, a lot of those rallies were started with Slade, either walk in, getting a 2-strike hit. And that's what your veteran, first team SEC players do, is they take that. They know that they can take on anybody in this league. It's like I've said, the value of being in this league 4 years, Slade's not going to see us too many sliders he hadn't already seen, for example. He's seen 100 now for 4 years. It's not going to be just this one time. And so, the other thing that I think gets lost on Slade is how well he's played defense for us this year. He made a really nice play this weekend where he got a ball stepped on third, threw it to first, and just looked like he's playing catch in the backyard. So I think the thing that gets lost is what he's done for us defense.
You look at the way he changes his body too this year. Is that something that came from y'all, or that's something he kind of decided to do himself?
A little bit of both. We talked to him about getting quicker laterally, and he went out and worked extremely, extremely hard on it. Did it, and part of that was changed his diet. We did some things different with him in the weight room, heck, I was a little worried when we got him there that it might, affect some of his power numbers, but he's as many as he had last year. So.
And how much does the turf help, do you think, playing on turf?
It helps everybody, right? Not just him. But you look at what some of the plays he made, when we were at Bammer, even in Florida.
Yeah.
And those were natural surfaces. So it has helped, but at the same time, I think just the work he put in, he was going to be better whether he was on turf or natural surface.